All right. So, this is the first ever episode. I've pre-recorded episodes before with my friends and shit. But this is the first episode, right? Of Girl Brain. And I'm a girl with my brain. And I've been told all my life that I'm a person that people enjoy talking to. They're you have a lot of good ideas, or some of the things I say just make sense. You know what I mean? I'm able to break things down that other people may have not thought of in layman's terms, in terms or views that people understand and they're happy with. So I get told all the time, they're hey, you should do something. You should sit down and have a conversation and make your point be known so that other people can get this information. For instance, I literally was riding in an Uber the other day and the guy was excuse the dogs. I have a bunch of dogs. Shush. He was the stuff that you were saying, because I was talking to my friend and I was telling them I'm kind of what I'm going through and conversating about the situation that I'm in, right? And so my friend was listening to me and putting their 2 cents in or whatever, and the Uber guy was I was trying not to listen to the conversation, but a lot of the stuff that you were saying just is on point and it makes a lot of sense. So we were discussing accountability. I don't know, a little bit about me. I guess we should start there. I technically am now a part of, I've always been a part of the LGBTQ community, the Alphabet Mafia. I've always been a part of it. I've always considered myself not straight. In these past few years, however, I have leaned more onto the L side of the LGBTQ. I literally go out of my way to be with women now. But before, I was mainly with men. Technically, legally, I'm still very much married to a man, but we are not together. We are separated. We have 5 children. So I have the point of view and life aspects of a parent, you know what I mean? A Black woman who's going through not necessarily identity crisis, because I said, I've always knew I wasn't straight, but not necessarily got my stuff together either. I very much am still figuring stuff out as I go. I'll be 36 this year. And yeah, so I don't know, for me, accountability is something. So I'm big into psychology, super big into psychology. So I feel the way the mind works is just so fascinating and interesting to me. It is I love the way the mind works. I talk to people just so I can pick their brain, and I want to know what you're thinking. Why are you thinking that? You know what I mean? I literally sometimes feel I was born in the wrong era. Technically, I was born in the right era, because if I was born any earlier than what I was, Sigmund and some of those other famous psychologists and philosophers, I probably wouldn't have been seen as anything anyway, because I was a woman. So I don't know, I just think life is so interesting. Everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own thing. And it's so interesting to hear other people's perspectives of what they've gone through to shape their opinions on something. So with that being said, I was in a conversation earlier today, and I was talking to my friend about so backstory. My friend has a kid. Their kid is almost a teenager. And they told their child, even though my friend is very much gay, has been gay for a very long time, they told their child that they did not want them to follow in the footsteps of being gay. So I guess their daughter, like, showed signs of possibly wanting to be curious or experimenting. And my friend was like, no, and this is why. And like went hard on the religious beliefs of why you shouldn't be gay. So with me, like, if a person tells me something like that, like, immediately in my head, I'm like, you're a hypocrite. Because how can you sit and say that the gay lifestyle is horrible and it's terrible and you're going to go to hell for it? That's why you don't want your child to be gay. But then you yourself are gay. So I was just like, okay, so you have to explain more of this to me, because right now I'm not understanding. I want to know more of why you think this way. So every time we talk about like any serious topic, like anytime I have like, I feel like an adult conversation, that means like it's a back and forth. It's like we're communicating, like it turns into a complete shutdown and it's one-sided, like every time. So I try not to have the conversations that I know that are like kind of deep conversations, because this person cannot take it. But this was just something that I couldn't let go, because you can't sit and tell me as a gay person that you're going to try your best to put the fear of God, because that's what you're doing, the fear of God into your child so that they will not be gay. To me, that's super messed up, beyond messed up, because why are you doing that? Like, every person that was put on this earth, from children on up to the oldest person alive, has a choice that separates us from animals. Like, we ourselves have the ability to make decisions for ourselves. God created us with this free will. So you are taking away her right to have free will and later on process things however she wishes, because you are not like happy with your lifestyle ultimately. Because before we've had this conversation and she's like, well, you know what? Like, if I was living the straight life and I was with the man, like, and I married a man and I, buckled down with the man, like, my life would be different, like, because God would have me. And I was like, I know plenty of religious people who just so happen to also be gay, and their life is pretty good. Some of them are pretty shitty. But I also know straight people whose lives are pretty shitty and they go to church, or they're pretty great and they don't go to church. You know what I mean? So religious or religion is a factor to a certain extent. Like, you can't sit and say that, oh, because I'm this, because I'm that, this is why. Like, no. I'm not going to go for it. I'm not going to listen to it. I'm not going to be receptive to that, because first of all, you couldn't be further from the truth. I understand that everybody has the right to believe however they want. You have the right to believe however you wish. But when you start trying to scare or intimidate other people with your beliefs, that's where I have an issue. Even though that's not my child, even though that's not, somebody that I have necessarily an influence over, and they will grow up with or without me in their lives, it doesn't sit right with me. It does not sit right with me. I believe that everybody has the right to choose. And with that being said, I don't necessarily believe that people choose to be gay. I know people hear this a lot. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I didn't choose to be gay. I was born this way. And then there's people, I chose to be gay. Like, I choose to live my life of homosexuality versus straight and heterosexual. And I know, like, obviously there's problems with anything. But your child is African American and it's a female. So they already have things against them. They don't need you, their parent, putting more stress and pressure on them to be anything other than themselves. I'm not saying that I want my son, because I have a son, I'm not saying I want my son to grow up as a homosexual. First of all, he's going to be a black male and he's going to be gay. There's going to be things that are going to like be against him, and he's going to have to fight extra hard just because he's got one more thing against him. Of course, I don't want my children to have a hard life. But I'm also not going to say that if my son came up to me and was like, hey, mom, I'm gay, I'm going to be like, oh, fuck no, the world is over. Sit down and read the Bible so you know exactly how they feel about homosexuality. The heck? What do I look like? I'm gay. Like, I'm gay. How can I sit and say that this is not okay when I'm literally doing it? Like, it's just like, it's so hypocritical. Like, how can you fix your mouth to say this? Like, you literally live this lifestyle. So I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, you're right. Religion has forced down a lot of people's throats that it is not okay and it is very sinful to be a homosexual. I'll give you that. Sure. But the thing is God created us, right? And he created us in his image. So you can sit back and be upset and say, oh, no, God didn't create gays. Well, he kind of did, because he created me. He created other people and they're gay. So he created gays. Like, and as long as you do, you know, you have your relationship and your connection with your faith, because I'm not saying you have to be a Christian, Baptist, Muslim. I'm not saying you have to be any of those things. You can be an atheist. That's not my business. What I'm saying is I'm never going to tell somebody that it's not okay to be themselves based off of my religious beliefs, even if it's my child. Like, that's insane to me. Like, that is super messed up. And some people are like all for that. Love the fact that people think like that and want their children to not be gay, because that's not the norm. Well, neither are pedophiles and freaking people that go and shoot up schools. Like, when we start to talk about like religion, my thought in my process in processing how religion works is, if you're saying that God's out here, right, and he's protecting and he's watching over us as long as you pray and you go to church and you're a good, devout, religious person, because I'm not going to say a specific religion. You're a good, devout, religious person. Okay, so you're telling me that just because I follow these steps, that nothing will ever bad happen in my life, because God got me at the end of the day. He also puts you through trials and tribulations where you have to figure out like how to get that for yourself, how you have to work through that. So which is it? And then on top of that, I said, I believe that there is a God. That is my personal belief. I don't try to push that off on anybody. I don't push that off on anybody. Like, not even my kids. If they want religion in their life, they have plenty of family members that go to church and, you know, practice their spirituality. They can go with them. So for me, I'm like, okay, cool. I believe in God. That's where my religion stops. I believe I have a relationship with God. I handle my business between me and him. That's it. That's all. Other people want to push their religion off on you. Other people are trying to recruit you for their team. And it's like, I don't want that. You know what I mean? Like, people get upset like, oh, why don't you go to church? Because I don't want to. I don't feel comfortable being in church. I don't feel comfortable being around other human beings trying to guilt trip me into doing more for faith-based reasons when they themselves are not truly devout, faith-driven people. You have more hypocrites and people who do the most sinning in church. You got the freaking Catholics with all of the Pope scandals and the priest scandals of messing with all the children. You have Christianity and Baptists where they are beating their wives, drinking and doing drugs and gambling. Like, if we go based off of that, Who are you to sit and say that my lifestyle isn't good when you yourself have all these other things that you do on a consistent basis, but you have the audacity to judge me? You're not God. I don't gotta listen to you. You keep your opinion to yourself about my lifestyle and don't try to use religion to make me feel any type of way, and we'll be fine. So I was like, so you're telling me that if your daughter decided that she was gonna be gay, that you would have an issue with that, even though you are still currently trying to pursue women, and you're a woman yourself. So you're very much practicing in the gay realm of life. She says, yes. But why? Well, because I know what this lifestyle, does, but that's for any lifestyle. So I said, okay, for instance, so you push your daughter, right? You push your daughter into not being the person that she feels like she should be, which may be gay, right? You don't let her explore that. You don't let her live her truth. She's now an adult, and she is in a bad situation with a man because she can't live her true happiness because you have scared her into believing that she only can live a certain way. So now she is forced to only focus on being with a man. And a man that she's with, may have kids with, so she feels like she can't leave, is now beating her ass and mistreating her and doing all the things that you would not want your kid to be a part of because you yourself have driven into her that it is wrong to live the lifestyle that she may have chosen for herself. Oh, well, I'm going to teach her self-defense. She's going to take self-defense classes. She's going to prepare herself so that physically, if he ever were to put his hands on her or if he were to ever beat her up, she would know how to defend herself. I said that's cute to a certain extent because let me tell you something. If and when a person gets beat up in their relationship, that's not the first time they've abused you. They just started getting physical. They start with mental and emotional abuse. Look it up. Mental and emotional abuse is little things that they do to kind of like groom you into being abused so that when they start the physical, you'll sit back and you'll accept it, whether you can beat their ass or not. I've seen this lady, true story. She was a Samoan lady. She was very statuesque. She like 6 something, like 6 foot something. She like weight was like 200-300, like she's a big lady. And she was with this dude that was little as heck, like 100 pounds soaking wet, like super scrawny. He punched her in the face and knocked her into the refrigerator because he had been grooming her. And she sat there and she took that. She took it. Still with him today, still married and everything. When I tell you that it doesn't matter how much training you provide to your child, it doesn't matter like how much therapy they get. Hopefully with the therapy that they get, they can see the red flags and not enter into those situations. But even still, we're human. We fall in love with this, not this. So sometimes we're like, oh, like, yeah, this person's giving out. They're a walking red flag, but guess what? Damn it, I love them. And I'm going to see it through. I'm going to see what this is about, even if I get knocked on my head and you get knocked on your head. Like, I was just like, so you would rather your child suffer in a heterosexual relationship with a man beating her ass than to let her own her truth of possibly being gay and being happy with another woman. It's baffling. Like, I was very befuddled. Like, because her response was yes. Like, immediately, like, because, Christ will have her and this and that. And I was like, well, but he has everybody. We are all God's children. But everybody still goes through their own suffering. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But I know for sure it's not just me, because I've had this conversation with other people and they're like, oh yeah, like I thought this, or I think this, or you know what I mean? Like, so I know that it's not just me. I know it's not just me. But I can't. Like, I can't get past her like saying this, and like her thought process behind it was just like wild. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my little like rant. This is gonna be the first one, and you guys tell me if you liked it, and we'll go from here. Leave a comment, please like and subscribe.